Hi guys, Ryan Shields here, your favorite sucky adult, back with another edition of We Suck at Adulting. You might be noticing the audio might be a little off right now from what you're used to. I'm recording this sort of on the cheap at home, just off the laptop. Sorry if you hear the dog's tags jingling behind me as he sort of lays down here. But I wanted to get you this episode out and on the air as quick as I could, because we had a really cool opportunity just last night. If you hear my voice going already, most of you know in my real life, so to speak, that I work for a church. And so we had a great band come into the church last night. They played, they drew a great crowd. They were called The Lasting Hope, and they rocked the house. They did really, really good. And before they went on, Holly and I took a chance to sit with them and talk about not just their faith, because obviously faith's important to me, but you know, this podcast tries to have a wider, broader appeal than just faith topics. But they obviously spend a lot of time talking about that. But they also talk about just being in a band, their influences, the fun experiences, being silly, and sometimes I would even dare say stupid young adults doing things that could get them hurt. But they were really just a cool group of guys. They have excellent hearts. They were really great to hang out with. And they're out on the road. So in just a moment, I'm going to play a minute or two of a song from them so you get a feel for who they are. Like I said, they put on a really great performance. And then after that, I'll cut straight to the interview that Holly and I did, sitting down with all four members of the band. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment and plug some friends that we've made along the way here at We Suck at Adulting. I'm trying to put together maybe a little network of like-minded podcasts that can help each other and build an audience. And so we're trying to support each other. A lot of podcasts are using March as a time to work together to just advertise podcasting and hear different voices. And so I got a couple recommendations for you today. And the first one is a podcast called The Distracted Gamers. The Distracted Gamers are really great. They're a group of four friends. They all have ADD, and they sit around and they talk about movies. They talk about video games, of course, and they talk about like anime and whatever comes to their mind. And they've done a couple really like long form shows. I think one of them is like 2 hours long if you just want to put it on and have nice background conversation, because it'll really, if you let it, it'll transport you to feeling like you're sitting in maybe a basement or a garage with a group of guys talking smack about video games and, you know, shooting the breeze kind of stuff. And I think a lot of us millennial gentlemen, we can relate to that. So if you have an opportunity, look them up. They're Distracted Gamers. They're on SoundCloud. I know they're on Spreaker now as well. And they have a Facebook page. They're getting started, and they're having a lot of fun. So yeah, check them out. And then another cool one for me, one that we found just like the first week we did We Suck at Adulting, we were contacted by a girl named Abby who has a very similar podcast to this one. Hers is called Learn to Adult. We're pretty much sister shows at this point, I feel like, because her podcast is all about your guide to learning to adult better. She's talked about everything from taxes to cooking. A couple weeks ago, she even had a girl on talking about Twitch streaming. So there's my connection for Distracted Gamer and Learn to Adult. There's some, I believe they call that synchronicity. A girl making her living on Twitch streaming, doing videos to Just Dance. You didn't know you could make a career out of playing Just Dance, did you? But this girl did. She won the world championships, I believe, in Just Dance, and it was a great episode. Just recently, she did an episode about addiction. So if you liked our episode with Nate Kellmeyer, you'll probably find that episode very interesting as well. And so she wants you to learn how to adult better, just like we do. So you can find her podcast at learntoadult.com. It's on iTunes and it's on Stitcher. She does a great job. So without any further ado, I've plugged my friends. We've gotten that out of the way. Hopefully you'll give them a listen to here soon. I'm going to take us to the interview now, but before we do, we're going to hear a brief snippet of The Lasting Hope. This is a song called I'm Forgiven.
I'm not perfect, still holding on the shame. I'm not the person who I was yesterday. I'll put the past behind me. Mistakes are not defining. You said that I am free. When I'm lost and I'm feeling broken, through faith the doors are open. You remind me that I am chosen.
everybody. Welcome to We Suck at Adulting. And today we have a very special episode where we're talking about being in a rock and roll band. We have a guest, several guests here today who are just moments away from playing the metropolitan oasis that is Genoa, Ohio, the big city with the bright lights of Genoa, Ohio. Our guests today are The Lasting Hope, who are playing at my church where I work, St. John's, tonight. And I decided that since they were here, we'd take a moment, get them out into the green room, sort of, and just talk about what it's like to be in a band in 2017. So I'm here with my lovely co-host, Holly.
Hello.
And we have The Lasting Hope, Tanner, Logan, Craig, and Braxton out of Indiana, who are going to play here tonight. So, hi, guys. Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey.
We're recording this in a classroom at the church, and so we're sort of just hovered around a couple microphones. So if the audio is a little funny, that's why. But I wanted to sit you guys down and really just talk about your story, being in a band, what it's like. I've read some of your bio and some of the opportunities you guys have had. But you guys must have started the band really young, because you're not old guys right now. And I think this is 7 years, according to your website. Is that about?
Yeah, going on. It'll be 7 next year. Yeah, so we're at 6 right now, but 6.5.
So can you tell us the story about how it got started? And this is where I got to chime in personally. I was in garage bands in high school and stuff like that. Yeah. And I feel like that's a dying art form. Like, people aren't doing that anymore.
No way.
So how was that for you?
Craig and I started the band back in 2010. We had a band before this that was the epitome of a garage band. We were rehearsing in a garage, and it was the worst music of all time, and it was pretty heavy metal. And so we decided we were kind of over that phase in our life and wanted to kind of start something a little different. And so we started this other terrible band at the time called The Lasting Hope, and and God's just opened a ton of opportunities ever since then, and we've been able to keep doing it for 6 years now. So
yeah. What were those early days like with this band, with The Lasting Hope? I heard you guys were on the radio for Proclaim FM earlier today, which was a really cool blessing for us. And you were talking about, like, you just sort of started at a lock-in or something, like you were really thrown together.
Yeah, so our original drummer, his youth pastor needed a band for their lock-in. So he knew Logan, and Logan knew me, and then they knew some other guys. So I remember showing up to the first practice not knowing half of the guys in the band. That was like the first time we met. So not only getting a band going, but starting new friendships and stuff. That's kind of how this all began.
Cool. Yeah. And so Tanner and Braxton, how did you guys come in?
Well, me and Logan grew up together as kids, even since, like, babies. Our parents started a church together, which me and Logan helped lead worship there. Logan is the main worship leader there, and I just play bass for the worship team.
You just play bass.
Play bass. Yeah.
So
I'm the glue.
replaceable.
I gotta hold it together. No, but that was a little Tom Jackson reference for you. But but I actually heard the song Something New. They had a bass player before me and a keyboard player, actually. And I remember thinking, wow, these guys are really going places with the band. I heard they were recording Something New and records. And I text Logan, and I was like, look, man, I don't know how I could be a part of this, but I want to help out somehow. So I sold merch for him it was about right at a year that I traveled around with him to different shows. My first show was actually going to New York with him in Buffalo, so that was really cool. But then the bass player and the keyboard player decided they needed to kind of part ways. The Lord brought them somewhere else. So yeah, Logan said, we need you to step up and learn how to play bass.
You learned how to play bass for the band?
Yep.
That is such a... I feel like for the uninitiated in the realm of church bands, that is such every Christian pop punk band that has ever existed is just like, hey, you look like a cool dude. Let me teach you to play bass. So you start out just being like, just stay on the E string, man. Don't even.
It was very basic at first with the playing, but basic. Nice. I like that was a pun. No, but yeah, so that's kind of how I got started with playing bass for the guys, and just kind of stuck. I was actually supposed to just be a fill-in for a while, but they liked having me.
Here you are.
So here I am.
Very cool.
Yeah,
Braxton, yeah.
Yeah. The way I got into the band was when the drummer went his separate way to tour with Big Daddy Weave to be the touring manager.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Logan called a friend of mine. He's like a brother now. Been with him since I was super young. And so Logan got a hold of him one day and just said, hey, I know you can play music. You were in a band before. I know you can play drums. So how about you come play with us? But he was in the middle of trying to start a family, and he was gonna get married soon. So he knew me, he knew I played drums because he goes to my church. I play the drums for my church, so he just told Logan about me. Then Logan asked for my number. We got a hold of each other, and it was like 2 days, or no, maybe not 2 days. How long? Maybe like a week.
Yeah, it was 4 or 5 days or something.
4 or 5 days. I had like 4 or 5 days to practice, and never heard their songs before in my life. And then I met a group of guys that I had never seen. Had one little tryout, I guess, and went on a 2-week run, like right after that. And the rest is history, I guess.
The rest is history. So how long has it been this lineup?
Since this summer, whenever Braxton joined at the end of May. So yeah, since this last end of May, yeah, because our drummer decided that he was going to go kind of do the tour managing thing, and so we were like out of luck, and then Braxton showed up. So
So you guys have a story that I think is sort of like mine. You guys opened for Toby Mac. Is that something that happened?
yeah, we've a couple times now.
A couple times,
but just in the
Oh,
first
that's
time.
awesome.
Our bio I think says like the first time. Because
Yeah.
that's probably the last time
Did you,
we
like,
changed
win
our bio. We won a contest.
You won a
yeah.
contest?
Yeah.
I always tell, I live vicariously through my old stories. We won a contest to open for Taste of Chaos. I don't know if you remember that with like
Throwback.
super throwback with like My Chemical Romance and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's still my claim to fame. I get to
That's
be like,
awesome.
I was like, I don't care how we got there. We were there.
That's
you know? So who else? Who have you been out with? Who have you played? What are some of maybe the good stories? Some of the most fun you've had?
Yeah, so we do it a lot different than most bands now, and that we can maybe talk about this later because it's 2017, and there's a reason why we do it. But we don't tour with other bands, really. And it's not because we don't want to. It's just we kind of just do everything ourselves. And so luckily, when we get to go play festivals, we get a chance to open. Or sometimes, like, I just kind of sit on my laptop all day, and I'll email every time I see that, say, Switchfoot has booked a show, I'll email every place they went to, and then out of the 500, maybe one place will reply back and say, yeah, you can get. So we've got to do opening for Switchfoot, Mandisa, Ryan Stevenson, Crowder.
Open for Crowder?
Yeah, so we got some really good opportunities just by being really annoying.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our thing.
See, that's so great. We were talking before we went live, and I just got to ask you guys that because that's some hustle that I feel like that's what I did. I remember, and now it's probably Facebook or whatever. I was like the MySpace kid. I was working third shift at a hotel when I was in a band, and just every night I would sit up on MySpace looking for venues and just bugging the tar out of them.
Yeah.
And I feel like people don't relate to the traveling band as much anymore.
Yeah.
Like, are your contemporaries, are there people your age that they don't get it? Like, why don't you guys just play on YouTube? Like, why are you out?
Most of our we have people that we are friends with who are in bands that they're making awesome music, but they don't really play. Like they'll do like a couple shows every few months, and their whole thing is they push on Spotify and they just try to be really big on Spotify. And in certain ways, you can look at it and say, wow, they're doing some huge things on Spotify. But you know, for us, it's kind of like trying to make a connection with fans and stuff. So we're still doing it kind of really like this hit the streets guerrilla type marketing thing. But yeah. So it's different. But
See, I think for bands, you guys are your biggest advertisement, you know? So being out there and meeting people, I think is really cool. How far has this taken you? How far have you guys traveled? Where you been? He's handing it off.
Well, we went to, it was whenever I was pretty new in the band, we went to Florida and played. We had like a 4-show run, kind of zigzagged back and forth in Florida. I had a couple churches and a couple events down there, which is actually really cool because that church we went to, the bigger one with Jason, there was a couple of kids that came in there and they were like, oh yeah, we've heard your music before, and so it's really cool you guys are down here. We never thought we'd see you in concert before. We weren't on the radio. I don't even know how I don't know if it was Facebook or what it was. Was it already in Florida? Okay, so we are on the radio in Florida. I guess. So it's different states that we are. I'm not sure exactly which ones. But then we went to South Dakota last year, and what was that 2 summers ago now?
Again, another sprawling metropolis.
But we actually
Iowa, South Dakota.
South Dakota, everywhere. Yeah, up to New York on the other side. Yeah, so
everything but the West Coast.
yeah. But yeah, we broke down in Iowa, so that was one of those times that not so fun. But it turned out fun. I mean, God works in cool ways, so that was actually a really cool blessing that we got to go through there. But
I feel like that's kind of a rite of passage for every band that they have to break down somewhere.
Yeah, it's happened multiple times.
I was gonna say, I think it is, but I don't think it should happen as much as it happens to us.
Oh, no.
We are like, we've probably spent nearly $30,000 on the vehicle we have,
Oh, my
and at some
gosh.
point
Oh,
we're
wow.
like, we're just about where we're like, okay, this was we bought this for way cheaper. We bought this for less than half of this, so why are we still going? But we just keep putting money in it. But
Could have
We-
could
you
be
know.
traveling in an RV for that kind of money or
We
something.
really
you know?
could.
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
we like the terribleness of it.
Yeah. So once again, I just feel like a lot of my conversation is here. We talk about young people, and I feel like young people don't get exposed to music in the same way like we were just talking about with Spotify and things like that. What do you try to bring when you guys go live, out in front of crowds and things like that? How do you gear up for that? What does it mean to you to be in front of actual people and talking to them and stuff like that?
Yeah, we put a lot of work into like the live show because we feel like that's where that's where we want to be. That's why we travel around. We love playing live and we love meeting people, and so we try to just have like a different experience every night at a show, whether it's Braxton doing like a backflip and falling into the crowd, or me doing a handstand off the drum set and going to the hospital. These are all things that have happened recently. So
Let's avoid hospital trips tonight, maybe. No.
we make
Although
no
your hotel
promises.
room right next to a hospital, if you need to.
You're just talking
Don't
us
encourage
into
that.
it. So we really try to make an effort to really give it all we got, because we do travel a long time. Sometimes we're going 5 or 6 hours or 8 hours, and so if we get all the way there and then we don't put on a show, not only we are doing injustice to the people who came to watch us, but also to ourselves. And then
It is hard sometimes because we are our backs are aching from.
yeah, we're getting old, but
You're getting old. How old are you guys? I didn't even catch all your ages. Or
I'm 19.
oh my goodness.
I am 23. He's the baby.
I'm 23.
And I am 22.
22. Cool.
I just felt really old.
Yeah, we're old here. I've been around for a while, I guess. So you guys have been in for most of you for like 6, 7. That's really like your formative years. Do you guys have? I mean, I assume you have day jobs still, or is your big break just right around the corner? So you quit your day job.
No, we grind it out every day. We are living the non-dream. We'll just go around. I am part-time worship pastor, and I went to college to be a teacher, so I sub on the side. So any days that I'm home, I get a sub. And so that's kind of cool because I sub back at my own high school, and so I still know some of the people from there, and so it's a cool thing to get to do.
Yeah, I am actually born and raised a farm boy.
Oh, good.
Working on a farm.
That's
yeah,
perfect
so,
for Genoa.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I am now a manager at Marco's Pizza in Seymour, Indiana.
Marco's Pizza.
Yeah,
Toledo's
exactly.
the home.
Shouts out to Marco's. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also,
You can go
I,
visit headquarters while you're here.
Oh, that would be awesome. No, but I noticed that our flower bags always say Toledo, Ohio.
Yep.
Yeah, it all comes together now. No, but I also mow lawns for my church and my grandparents and my parents and my brother. So that's kind of my side job as well in the summertime. So.
And then I went to school for public relations, marketing stuff, so I actually landed a job that allows me to do that, but also leave to
Wow.
do this stuff. So very lucky, one-of-a-kind thing.
That sounds like a big boy job, though. Like
It
that sounds.
is,
That's
I
amazing.
guess. Yeah,
Always married.
yeah. I'm the married guy.
You're the married man.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, that's what I do.
I am a HVAC
Oh.
guy, so I'm in the trade, fixing people's school wasn't my thing, so
Yeah,
when
that's
school
fine.
doesn't work out, get in the trade. So
Well, still, you guys got some pretty serious jobs for being so young, too, because I know I had to struggle through a bunch of, like minimum wage jobs and stuff for a while to finally find something that I like. So that's really cool that you guys are able to find something like that so young.
And still get out, because I feel like the hustle, like we were just talking about, the door is just opening and closing on its own. The spirit is moving in this place. That's what's happening. To keep that hustle, I feel like a lot of people, and especially like I said, I feel like there's a lot of musicians, and we've known some here from our area that, like we just said, they just are on YouTube or they're just working Spotify or whatever. So I appreciate that you guys are still doing the grind, because that's what speaks to me. So I heard a couple of you, and it's obviously been referenced, and obviously we're here at the church, I'm assuming you two were at least raised in the church. Were you guys like all raised in church totally day one?
Yeah, we were all raised going to church and in the church.
So you guys, when we do stuff like this, you guys can do the throwbacks of Michael W. Smith and things like that. That always like.
That's why. Yeah, that's why our whole interview this morning is about Rich Mullins.
Yeah, right.
We're all.
Yeah, they were on Proclaim FM this morning talking about a guy who is a great songwriter, but I think he peaked in like the 80s, maybe, or early 90s.
It did some 90s stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's an old timer. But he's right here in my heart. So.
Yeah, very good.
But yeah, Tanner's dad is a pastor, and Braxton's dad is a pastor. My mom and dad
gosh.
were worship leaders, and then Craig grew up in the church all his life. So we've literally only known the church.
You guys are the total church kids.
Yeah, exactly.
It makes so much sense.
Yeah, we get along. So yeah, you guys were the old days of playing Chubby Bunny at church lock-ins and things like that, man. That speaks to you. Well, that's that's really cool. Well, tell us about you guys recorded an album fairly recently, right?
Yep.
That we've been hearing some of the music on. You guys are doing a release. Was I'm Forgiven? Have you guys released that? Is that out, or you?
Yeah,
working?
I'm Forgiven is out. We just haven't done a radio push to it. We did a radio push for our song "Stars in the Morning" not too long ago, and it didn't really catch on. And so we had kind of
Proclaim loves it.
Yeah, and they're awesome for that. But they were them and two other stations, the only stations that picked it up across the country. And so we had debated back and forth between I'm Forgiven and Stars in the Morning, but the radio team decided that Stars in the Morning was a better choice, and now I think we're thinking maybe that was wrong. But we recorded our first album with Mark Lee Townsend, who was the producer for Lion K. So we had that big influence on our first and second record, and then since then we've been recording with a guy named Jared Ingram, who he was the drummer for Royal Taylor, and now he's just kind of a producer. He did stuff for NF and Rodney Atkins and some other artists that don't make any same sense in the same genre. But yeah, so we're kind of just doing that right now. We have one new song getting ready to come out, to be actually released within the next month or two, called "Carrying Me." So
cool. And we mentioned it when you guys got here, so I want to just touch on it. For being so young, you guys have a fairly long history collectively, at least from the starts of the band, for about 6-7 years. How have you guys evolved? Because I'm hearing a lot of and I know you guys talked earlier today, there's a lot of 21 Pilots sort of thing, but I don't even know if it's just fair to say that's an influence as much as music is going in this direction where you're getting more hybrid. So even as you guys were preparing here, there's a lot of beats, backing tracks, things like that, but you're still a rock band. I said it breaks my heart when I see a rock band without instruments. They're just hitting play on an Apple computer, and I'm like, what happened? So Sonny Moore from what's that?
From First to Last.
But now he was
Skrillex.
Skrillex, yeah.
He's making beats for Bieber.
Dancing around the back of the
I'm sorry, it makes me sad.
Yeah. So, but I listened to some of you guys' older stuff, and I don't know how old that stuff was, but there was a lot of pop punk influence for Lion K, maybe.
Totally.
We talked about I don't know if you guys actually listened to the Starting Line or any of those kind of bands, but there was that kind of influence. And now there's more of there's definitely a groove influence of some kind that's going on. What changed? What have you been listening to? What influences you? How did you make that transition from what I would consider, a very teenage band to now starting to have more of a mature sound and a deeper sound?
When we started out, we had it was a completely different lineup. So we really feel like it's been really 3 bands since we've started, and it's just been really Craig and I stuck it through. And so that first band, we were trying to be like Skillet, and this was back in 2011. And then as we got a little older, we added some guys in, and it started sounding like we really wanted to be like Hawk Nelson. We wanted to we love Jason Dunn, and so we were kind of really going for that pop punk vibe. And Craig's in love with Newfound Glory, or he has been.
Sir.
Yes.
So, oh my goodness. No, we've opened the door. We have. Love is another word for regret, sir. That is the old. My Friends Over You. I used to jam those records all the time.
Yeah, that was a huge influence on everything we did. And now it's since we've gotten older, there's just so much more music available, so we've kind of widened our horizons on what we listen to, and that kind of influences. And, everybody's in here now has a different taste. I like pop, but pop with kind of real instruments. Tanner, you can talk a little about what you like.
I like a lot of, you heard this morning me do the jazzy thing. I like a lot of jazz.
He name-dropped D'Angelo, which I think most, even in a millennial-based podcast, I think D'Angelo is a throwback.
I love him. He's awesome. Voodoo's probably my favorite album that he has. It's amazing. If I were stranded on an island, we always said that if I could take one album, that would probably be the album that I would take with me.
Do you know who D'Angelo is?
No idea.
Okay,
oh boy, well, do your homework, all right? No, just kidding. No, but Yeah, I think Pino Palladino really sets the mood for me there as well with his bass playing. He's great. He's awesome. But yeah, and I like a lot of hip hop. So I really think I don't know. Just with me joining the band and Braxton joining the band, we've brought different flavor of music to the table because. Even in the Yukon, I mean, we're stuck in there for hours. So we got to have something different. I mean, you can't just repeat the exact same songs over and over again, you know. So we bring out some different music when we plug in the aux cord to the cell phone, and it's just kind of grown on all of us a little bit. We've all kind of blended into our we're kind of finding our sound a little bit more, you know. So it's really cool kind of adapting to the world's music, to everything that's kind of going on. It's such a fast-paced world, too, that I mean, you got to change. You can't just stay the exact same. I mean, there's still going to be those fans, obviously, with that old school music. But yeah, we're just kind of adapting with our sound. With Logan always says, "You create in a way you consume." So that's kind of what we're doing. But
And do you guys do you get? I was in a band. I always hated like, well, who do you sound like? We sound like us, dang it. But like, are you guys okay with some of those comparisons, or are there other people that you look up to currently?
Yeah, I mean, I usually I just don't have an answer because it used to be anytime in 2014 anybody asked us who we sounded like, we'd say Reliant K. Yeah. And now it's like, well, we don't know because if you listen to this song, it sounds like Reliant K. And you listen to this song, it's like I have no idea. I don't know what am I living for? You consider that sound like dark pop? I guess
it is. Yeah, it is
like,
dark. Yeah,
because it's still kind of rocky, but it's like dark.
it's also got a hip hop
and it's
feel
pop.
Yeah,
yeah. So
Hip little hop.
yeah. So. It's somewhere in between there. I don't have a band. I have bands that I really like that I kind of am taking influence from, but I can't say that we sound. I haven't been able to pull that off yet.
Yeah, as you mentioned, you were on the radio this morning playing old worship songs, basically, you know, and then you were, I think Craig was jamming "Shut Up and Dance with Me" or whatever earlier. Like, so you guys really, there's a wide gap there. I think that's cool. I think it influences the sound. So you guys play shows, I assume, very youth ministry targeted events and things like that. This whole show is based around the idea that millennials, young people, you know, the 35 and under even, you know, this next generation coming, and then now, honestly, the generation coming behind us even, is sometimes underrated or underused or are still searching for who they are. That's why we call the show "We Suck at Adulting," because it's like a lot of us don't know how to be adults still. We're struggling with that. What do you see when you go out and you're playing with young people and you're seeing people in their teenage years, and I'm sure maybe some in their like early 20s like you guys? What are you seeing? What do you speak to that? What do you guys think about, you know, these kids coming up? What do you try to impart to them?
Yeah, that's a
Big
good
question.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sorry.
a big question. I'll try to break it down. For as far as like a spiritual aspect, you know, we feel like we talked about this a little bit this morning too, but most of us came to Christ through music, and so we feel like we try to really implement that. I know the power that music can have on a person's life, and so we really just try to strive to make as much impact as you can from a stage, and just try to open the door for somebody to maybe have a conversation when we get off the stage, and so we can have just more important things going on than just jumping around and sweating and playing music, because it's much more than about that. But as far as like fans go and stuff, and what I see in the generation, I think that people that I know that know we're in like a pop band, I think that we take a lot of flack for it, because like we grew up in the hardcore scene, Craig and I did, where everybody was screaming all the time, and so like all these dudes are really tough, and I still have friends from that, they're like, oh, all your fans are only like 13-year-old girls. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, so what? Like, why can't 13-year-old girls or 13-year-old boys, like, why can't they have, why does that knock them? Like, you know, there's a quote by a guy named Matty Healy where he talks about how Mary Shelley wrote Frankenstein whenever she was 19. And so if you're discrediting somebody at 13, they're never going to be able to live up to that point. So I think that some people are so jaded to the fact that how this generation is, they can't even accept that some people are like going to do things that are awesome in this world. I don't think people realize that this millennial generation is taking in everything around, so there's going to be some stuff good that comes out of it.
Right.
But yeah, that may not make any sense.
No, dude, that was a
Piece together.
brilliant
No,
answer. I love that.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that spoke to me on levels. You guys are really starting.
Yeah.
Gonna make. You said you came up in the hardcore scene. You two.
We did. Yeah.
What?
Go ahead,
what
scream
were,
a little bit.
Yeah, scream a little. What were you listening to? I gotta ask, as
Well, we were big into Parkway Drive.
Parkway
Both of us.
Drive.
I just listened to them on the way here.
We were huge in the August Burns Red, obviously.
August Burns Red was great.
Ghost Inside.
I loved playing August Burns Red, doing like Britney Spears, just for like people getting halfway through the song before they go, is he screaming baby one more time? Like,
Me and Logan, for a long time, it was like a every weekend thing. We went to a local venue, and they always had hardcore bands from all over, and most of them were terrible, but it became like a little community, like a hangout spot. So, yeah, I'd say we kind of like grew up there a little bit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can relate so much to that because when I was a teenager, I was never home. We had the same sort of thing. It was one spot that like our friends' bands played at, and like there was a bunch of bands that were awful, but we go and listen anyway because they were our friends, and we're like, hey, why not? It was awesome.
It's a big hangout spot. So.
Pretty much a abandoned basement of a building and stuff like that. Kind of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we played it. We played a lot of those. Well, I don't want to take up all you guys' time. We gotta get some food in you, and you gotta get ready to play tonight here in Genoa. Woo! Big city lights at Genoa. We're hoping for a good crowd, and thank you guys for going on the radio earlier, and thank you for doing this podcast. But before we get ready to roll, would you guys share what your like favorite maybe memory is or favorite experience of being in the band? Like what keeps you getting in the van every day or every couple days or whatever?
I would say it's a funny memory, I guess. We were playing at a festival in Iowa called Rise Fest, and this huge storm rolled through, like black clouds. So we were running around trying to save our merch as the merch tent poles were flying out of the ground. And no, this was the crazy.
You're in
thing I've ever
Iowa,
seen.
yeah.
Yeah. And then me and Tanner were trying to throw stuff in the trailer, and the door opened up and about knocked me out because the wind caught it.
Oh my goodness.
The trailer door?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But yeah, that whole ordeal running through the storm trying to save everything is probably one of my favorite stories.
And you got to save that merch because that's the difference between eating on the way home.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I don't know if I have like a favorite memory, but there's certain things that tend to happen on every single trip. Logan always books our hotels, and I wouldn't. Well, you know what? I wouldn't call them hotels; they're motels.
Oh yeah.
You know.
You guys will be staying in luxury tonight then.
Yeah, I love that.
Some of the places that I've put them in.
The
prisons.
Prisons?
Prisons, yeah.
The lady that runs the hotel you guys are staying at tonight was basically my second mom growing up. So even when I went in there, she's like, they only need 2 beds. I was like, they said there's only 4 of them, 2 beds. Yeah. And she's like, I'll get them one with a pull-out couch. And I was like, sweet, yeah.
She is one of the nicest ladies in the world.
Yeah, high rolling. Indoor pool if you want to. No. Not in the room. Yeah. No. So that's cool, though. You're experiencing what it means to be a touring musician sometimes, the highs and the very lows.
I don't really know that I have an exact favorite memory, but I really think this whole thing is like it's going to be a big memory eventually. I mean, whenever we're old men, it's going to be awesome. So I don't know, these guys have really grown to be like some of my best friends. Not to get all emotional with you guys right now. Don't cry.
That was sweet.
No, but
I'll put some violin music under this later.
The world's smallest violin. No, but it really is awesome getting to. I mean, I have friends that I still hang out with, even from high school and everything. But it's cool having a relationship with guys that you're on the same page, not only with your friendship and your age and everything, but like with the Lord too. The Bible talks about iron sharpening iron, like one man sharpens another. So I think we all are living in the same generation right now, so we can all kind of be there for each other. We know what each other's going through, different things like that. But where's one memory that was pretty funny in Nashville? We were skating down a hill. We'd think that we're skateboarders sometimes. This was one of our first shows coming back into the summertime. And we all get on our skateboards. It was just me, Craig, and Logan at the time. And we're going through this. We're trying to find a place to skate. We're going to CVS parking lots, McDonald's parking lots, trying to find some place. We go to the back of a Goodwill trying to skate. And we find this like a little housing addition area with a huge hill. And we thought, oh, this is going to be great. We'll go down this big hill and just cruise, to get back on the board and rip it. We get on the top of this hill and take off going down, and I'm behind Craig and Logan. They're going super fast, and you ever hear of a thing called the speed wobbles?
The speed wobbles?
Yeah, well, there's a thing called the speed wobbles.
I can only imagine.
That's where you get going real fast, and your board starts getting real shaky under your feet, and you can't really control it at this point. Well, I feel that in my ankles start to shake a little bit. I feel a shimmer, and Craig and Logan are way up in front of me, so I'm thinking, how in the world are these guys going this fast right now and not a little bit terrified? So I go ahead and bail behind them because I'm like, okay, I'm about to get the speed wobbles more. We're not even halfway down this hill. And Craig and Logan keep going. As soon as I get off my board, I go to grab it, and I look up, and I see Craig and Logan barrel rolling on the asphalt, and they're scraping up their hands and everything. Logan goes into someone's yard, and no, Craig never made it through the grass. And Craig, I look up, and he's going, ah! His hand was all skinned up, and he had to play guitar in the studio. And yeah, so that was, I mean, it was rough, but he had a big old bandage. We had to go to CVS, which we tried to skate in that parking lot earlier. So we went back there to get a big bandage for him, but that was a really fun memory there.
It was just convenience that you had already been to
Exactly.
CVS.
We knew
right where it was.
Yep. We'll be back. We knew it.
You had to record with a mashed up hand, basically, all skated up.
Yeah, I had a huge bandage on my hand and played right through it.
Gives the texture. You can feel the bandage and the tone and the
Dedication there.
Tanner kind of talked about mine already. Just basically having this group of guys that we can hold each other accountable while we're on the road and try to just grow with our friendship as well as our faith. It's just a cool thing to have when you get to be our age. Your kind of friends kind of become scarce, and so it's cool that we literally get to have like sleepovers with our friends like every few nights
adult
a week.
sleepovers.
Yeah. So it's cool. We're still we're 23 and we're still got to act like we're 13. So it's kind of cool in that way too. But
yeah. And being your age and being people who go out and speak your faith, I mean, that's really hard. Like I said, when I was introducing, this podcast isn't necessarily made to be a faith experience, but people know me and what I do, and it's powerful to be out and giving that message because it permeates everything in your life. It's you guys are a witness 24/7 because those are those guys in that band, So I just want to say it's powerful for me. We're gonna have a lot of people hopefully tonight that it's powerful for them too. So thanks. Any parting words? Just hope you enjoy. Words of wisdom from the Lasting Hope as we close out here today.
Well, thank you for having us, and you can check out any of our music at thelastinghopemusic.com.
Oh yeah, get your plugs in, Facebook, anything like that.
Lastinghopemusic.com, Facebook/Lasting.
Instagram. Website.
Music. Yeah, TLH Music on Snapchat. You could catch up with us on the road and stay involved with funny stuff we're doing.
All right, and that's all.
There you go. Very good. All right, well, this has been We Suck at Adulting. So thank you once again, our guests, The Lasting Hope. Until next time, Holly.
See ya.
See ya. All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Focused on the outcome instead of living day by day. Been looking for a way out, so numb to this role I play. I'm caught up in a cycle, somehow I gotta break out. Still living with this question, and it echoes inside of my head. What if what am I living for? What am I living for? I need a breakaway, stuck on replay, trying to find my place. What am I living for? What am I living for? Take a step now, learning how to walk by faith. Was blinded by my own doubt. Now it's time to make a change. I'm caught up in a cycle, somehow I gotta break out. Still living with this question, and it echoes inside of my head. What am I